Okay, I came really close to not having any audio, and I would have freaked out if I got through this and didn't have it. But all is good. All is well. I am back after Memorial Day weekend, feeling somewhat tropical today. Anyway, this video is kind of a follow-up to the Jeff Buckley Radiohead video that I did a while ago that, I don't know, it's not my most popular or most watched video, but it seems to be the most engaged. And I've reflected back on some of the Radiohead stuff. So I thought I should get into the Jeff Buckley stuff just to do it justice, because I had talked about the problem for new artists, the Jeff Buckley / Radiohead problem for new artists, or what seem to be new artists. And you can go check out that video to talk about I think it's only about 6 or 7 minutes, so it's not much to check out, but it seems to have struck a chord with some people. Maybe I should go watch it. I don't know. So the other night, during a massive rainstorm that negated me going anywhere, I stumbled upon the video that's back there. It's called Amazing Grace. I guess it was a documentary or movie about Jeff Buckley. So being that I admittedly missed Jeff Buckley entirely in the 90s due to the fact that I was immersed in East Coast hip-hop, recording it, mixing it, being involved in all the production of East Coast New York music. It's kind of crazy to me as I was watching this thing that a lot of this stuff was going on, like when he was playing this club Cine. I heard it pronounced several different ways. It's S-I-N-E, Cine, some people called it. He was doing a regular Monday night thing down there in the mid-90s and becoming an industry sensation or buzz. And I had no idea about it, to be honest with you. I barely heard that when Kurt Cobain died. It was sort of like a 1 minute thing of like, hey, did you hear the lead singer from Nirvana died? Oh, really? Back into the studio. But anyway, I'm trying to give you some context as to what little I knew of Jeff Buckley in the 90s. And then, for that matter, in the aughts, and then 2010 to 20. Of course, I heard of him. Never listened to a full record. It's just you can't listen to everything. That's what I'm trying to say. So anyway, I watched the entire movie, and I don't know, it's an hour and change, I guess. And a lot of footage that they have of him doing all kinds of stuff, from interviews to live shows, cafes, the very early beginnings of his career, interviews with family. I don't know how old the video is. It has to be, I would say it has to be 15 years old maybe, or something like that, because his mom is quite young in it. Now, the thing that I find interesting, one of the things I found interesting the other day, is that I looked up a little Jeff Buckley information, and the idea that he would be 58 right now really threw me, because I was like, it's one of those things when an artist dies young, you just never picture them as a 58-year-old person. So he would be 58 right now. He was born in 1966. It was an interesting documentary, in my opinion. I'll give you my impressions about him as an artist. He seemed to be... he was unbelievably gifted as far as his vocal range and his freedom of just going for it with his vocal. He was... had a stupidly high range. And... for me, an appealing tone. I have never been a big fan of that, all the renditions, at least, of Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen. His version was cool. It was a direct copy of John Cale's version, so, and albeit a good one, but it was a John Cale interpretation that he just redid. He's riveting vocally. His guitar playing didn't really do it for me, but it's really hard to keep the perspective that this was all early to mid-90s music. Maybe it crept towards 99, I guess. And you know, it has a stamp to it. There's a certain sound to it. Andy Wallace mixed the one album, Grace. I noticed that Michael Brower mixed the previous thing, this like live EP thing. Looking back at his Wikipedia, I was interested to find out that he had gone to Musicians Institute. He had done a little bit of the Hollywood thing. He's enigmatic, I guess, would be a good way to describe him. So the video doc leaves out a lot, but pulls you in, to say the least. You can't help but be intrigued by it. I was not bored at any point watching the Jeff Buckley Amazing Grace documentary. You know how it ends. I mean, there is that sad part, and it's extremely sad. It's hard to really guess. Just like Hendrix, just like Kurt Cobain, just like so many others, it's hard to really guess where his career would have gone. It's really hard to say. He may have broken through commercially at some point. He had not broken through commercially in the 90s. Like, you know, there was no chart, there was no hits, there was no famous, you know, album at the time. It's a tricky story, and it's a tricky story to get involved with on a YouTube video, because I don't want to come across in any way that I think it is what it is what I'm trying to say. He was very talented. We don't get to see how the story ends or how the story evolves, because he passed so young. I guess he was 30 when he passed. So he was not like a young phenom. He wasn't like a 21-year-old million-selling, multi-platinum artist. He was still evolving. He was an industry favorite. Definitely seemed to have trouble with trying to find his voice as far as what he wanted his music to be. I've been reading an interesting book. I'm hoping to finish it soon, where the guy is talking quite a bit about quality and talking about art in some respects. And there was one thing that came up that I found to be interesting, and I think it can relate to a Jeff Buckley type artist who seems to be struggling to find what he was looking for artistically. And that is, like, the guy brought up it was an interesting concept in that if you've never created a masterpiece, how do you know that you are heading in the direction, or how do you know that you're going to be able to create this masterpiece if you've never done it? And that is a torture for a lot of artists, because they feel or claim to feel something in their head or in their mind's eye or in their imagination of like, this is what I want it to be like, or this is how I always pictured it to sound, and they can't tell you because they've never found it yet. And that's a really tricky area to go get with artists. And like, if you've never made that record that you're talking about, that you're trying to make, how do we know, how do you know that you are going to be able to make that record or make that piece of art? There is my Jeff Buckley tied into. It was a sad story. I mean, what are you going to say? I don't want to bum anybody out on how tragic the entire thing was. We'll never know. What we do know is that there's like a scattered amount of material that you can enjoy. You can be a fan. There's plenty of you. You just move on from there. You find someone new, or you find another artist to maybe appreciate like that, appreciate them while they're here, and go from there.